morning, everybody. Dr. Rafich here from Vet Triage. It is 9:34 in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, July 22nd, and we're here. We're back for more exciting stuff. Let's talk about whether or not people or anybody is allowed to get animals, or what should the criteria be. There's a lot of discussions. There's always been this discussion about whether or not you should have a pet. And there's it's obviously a complex question because of the reasons we'll review over today. And this is just going to be my point of view on it. I don't have the answer to the question, but I also think that it's like any other complex topic. There's probably more than one right answer to it. It's definitely situational. So let's just begin a discussion, and we'll see how it evolves over time. So the idea here is that we have lots of pets that get euthanized at shelters. We have lots of pets that get relinquished at shelters. We have pets that just get abandoned outside, pets that need care, and people don't bring them that care because they can't afford it. And so the question is, should everybody have pets? And if you want to take what I think a more extreme example of that's analogous to this, should everybody have children? Should everybody have children? We certainly don't limit who has kids. Anybody can have kids as long as they are reproductively viable to have them. So, and kids, I would argue, are a way bigger commitment than a pet ever will be. Your child will be alive for 70, 80, 90, 100 plus years, and they're with you as the parent until at least 18, at least in the states. Most states, that's considered the adult age. So and not everybody can afford children either, right? They give them up for adoption as well. Parents get in trouble for neglect or abuse or whatever else. And they can't afford them financially. So, and we don't stop people from having kids. So, there's a comparison, I think, to be made there, at least to some degree. But the difference might be that number one, there's a lot of legal backing for children who are not treated appropriately, and more so to get compared to animals. And number two, you can't just euthanize kids, whereas unfortunately with animals, you can just euthanize them. And most veterinary facilities won't euthanize without a good reason, but sometimes I can't afford a pet is a good reason. I don't know. But that makes it a unique dilemma on the animal owning side because you can euthanize them, and there's not much legal recourse with animals. So there's some unique differences there, but somewhat comparable as well. And then is a home that can't afford medical care for their pet worse than a pet not having a home at all? We've bred these animals to be domesticated. Therefore, they can't really survive in the wild without us. They don't really know how to hunt. They don't know how to find water. They don't know how to find shelter. They don't know how to defend themselves physically. So, these animals that are domesticated are kind of our responsibility, and is being in a home that can't afford medical care should something go wrong with that pet be preferable to not having a home at all and either being a stray or going to a shelter where there's a chance of euthanasia, right? Or going into another even worse home or something. So, is that the lesser of two evils? As long as you're in a house, maybe it's better than nothing. Maybe it is. The other factor is we have a ton of animals that are strays or that are in shelters, rescue situations, foster situations that need homes. And even though we're desperate to get them into homes, sometimes we have criteria to get them to a good home. And if you, as a wannabe pet owner, don't fulfill the criteria, then you can't have that animal. But then we're euthanizing like 1 million animals a year. So are we saying that death is better than not being in the ideal home? And and I don't know those parameters. I don't know how strict they are. I don't know if they're based on income and you have kids and whatever. I don't know, and I don't know if I care, because if we're going to say that being dead is better than being in a bad home, I don't know. I have some doubts about that. So yeah. So anyway, that's those are some thoughts that I have. I don't have the answer, although overall, I think if I had to choose a side, I would say that if you want a pet, get a pet, and hopefully, if you do get a pet, you can adopt instead of purchasing one from a breeder. And if you do adopt a pet, the internet is free. You can do as much research on owning a pet as you want, and then, of course, it would be nice to be able to save some amount of money in your bank account. I'd say $5,000 is a minimum, in case your pet gets really sick or traumatized, needs emergency care, emergency surgery, all the things. So it's good to have some money in the bank to leave aside for your pet in case they get in trouble. Make sure you're realistic about the pet that you get. If you are a sedentary person, don't get an animal that requires a lot of attention and activity. If you're a very active person, don't get an animal that is more sedentary. If you're allergic to dogs, don't get dogs. If your kids are not at an age where they can handle animals of a certain size, then get a bigger animal. If so many factors to consider. So do your research beforehand, save some money, try to adopt, and then do the best you can. It's a complex topic, but I think that my stance on it would be that dying, being killed rather, by euthanasia is a worse fate than maybe living in a suboptimal home. Um, and I'm not talking about animal abuse. I'm talking about just things are great at home, and then once the animal gets sick or injured, they can't afford veterinary care. That's what I'm talking about. So being abused or neglected or whatever, that you could argue that might be worse than death. But I don't know. That's a deeper philosophical discussion for maybe for another time. But essentially, get pets into homes as much as possible, and folks who want animals, try and be as prepped as you possibly can to take care of them if things go wrong. So that's it for today. Thanks everybody who watches this on the playback. Thanks for subscribing and hitting like and all that stuff. I'll see you tomorrow, July 23rd, Tuesday, for another live stream. Talk to you guys then. Bye.